Okay, so how is the transition from college into like corporate or your like the beginnings of your career?
I feel like it happened a long time ago, so I'm trying to remember. But I feel like the day to day is just like something that it's not really like highlighted as much
Mhm.
like in your college classes. Of course you do like group projects and stuff like that, but it's very different from like, the actual real world that like especially like being a software engineer, um all the like stuff that happens in the background, like it's not just you're not just coding.
Mhm.
Like you have to work with product people or like business analysts, then you have to work with, designers, you have to work with testers. Like that wasn't highlighted as much when I was in college. Maybe it's changing now. Is it changing now?
Not as much. It's still a little bit of a transition for me personally,
Okay.
but
Yeah, so I feel like that was kind of like something new, just like the day to day. And like, some weeks you could have like busy weeks, some weeks it could be slower. Like,
mhm.
it just really depends on like, what you're working on. And I feel as though and then also just like the social side of just working in corporate, it's interesting. Depending on the type of company you
Yeah.
work at. If you're at like some Fortune 500, some of the bureaucracy you might have to go through versus maybe a startup, some of the just office politics. Like, I don't know, it's just they don't teach you this stuff, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so that definitely was a transition. I feel like it's still a learning opportunity because
Mhm.
any new place you go to like work at, like it's gonna be a different environment. So you just kind of pick up on different people skills
Mhm.
or, you know, teamwork skills
Yeah.
or just different communication skills to
Yeah.
like navigate because
Mhm.
that's all we're trying to do, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. The
Mhm.
communication thing, like, is one of the biggest things as well for me. Like, just
Mhm.
talking, like, seeing how the product managers like have to like interact with us as engineers, and then like just
Mhm.
the manager, like you would think that the manager also codes like a lot alongside
Right.
you, but no, not as much. There's lots of meetings that they have to
Oh,
do.
that's the meetings.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because like
lots
we
of
just go to
meetings.
class and maybe we'll meet up with our group for a group project, maybe like
Hmm.
once a week or something, or like a study group or something.
Hmm.
But these like yeah meetings and stuff like that was different.
Yeah, yeah, lots of meetings and
Uh
talking
huh.
through like what you like, also like the stand-ups, like talking through what you've done, and
Yeah.
those are every day. So I always like, oh my gosh, I have to make sure I get in enough time to have adequate to say. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, that the communication part, but also like you said, it's not just coding, and I've definitely learned a lot. Like, this is a little bit more technical, but like the development life cycle, like I
Yes.
can't just
Mhm.
like push my changes. Like, I actually have to go through like a process.
It goes through a process,
Yeah.
right? And we understand why those processes are there,
Hmm.
but I feel as though it was new. Like it wasn't really
Hmm.
highlighted as much. Like when I was going to school.
Hmm.
Um, Again, I think they're changing it now because when I'll talk to like new like interns for Girls Dream Code, like they'll some of them will know that like some of them will know about like agile and different stuff
Hmm.
like that, but I still feel like it's like not talked about as much, and I feel like they should be prepping like
Yep.
computer science grads for like what it actually is in the real world. So what are some other things that you feel like college didn't really teach you, for like because this is your first like corporate internship,
Hmm.
so what are some things that like were just like new for you?
Hmm. Yeah. I've definitely had to, as far as like the technical side, I
Mhm.
everything that I'm currently working on right now, I did not learn in college. Like, I've never coded in any of the languages that I
Mhm.
currently work with. But I will say something that college did help me with is like problem solving. So
Yeah.
like, what I if I didn't go to college, then I wouldn't have known like what maybe approach to take to learn these new languages.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I never learned those, and then I also didn't know much, like I mentioned earlier, about like the development life cycle, when things get pushed to like lower testing environments, and
Yeah.
then when things get pushed to like the production environment.
Mhm.
So like those type of like processes, I had no idea about.
Yeah, yeah. Cause like we're just so used to just like, okay, made a change. It's
Hmm.
out there now, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's definitely a process.
Hmm.
And that was something like honestly, it just depends, like, the different companies you go to, and their different processes. Because the startup that I worked at briefly, like, they did have the different, like, environments, like development and like testing and like they didn't really have a staging environment. Actually, I think it just went production. I feel like sometimes it's just like, now I understand like the pros and cons to just different processes, because you don't want to be pushing out like, error prone code, you know what I mean, or like code that has a lot of bugs, because like that's not a good look, or it's not a good user experience, and it's just more tech debt, you know what I mean. But the process can also be kind of tedious. It's just like, I just need to make this one little change. You're saying I have to create this like ticket to then like before it can even get pushed, and I gotta wait a week until it actually it's a whole thing. But that's the process that was created, right? So are there any things like in college that you feel like don't really matter when you transition into the workforce?
I'm not going to say your GPA doesn't matter. You should still strive to get good grades. Why? Because the job market gets more competitive.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to put a good GPA on your resume, or talk about, how you do well in your classes and interviews, that will help you. But in the grand scheme of things, like, most employers won't look to see if you like got a C in that one class, or they won't really look to see how many times you maybe had to retake a certain class. And so I wouldn't stress too much about like the grade that you get. Like, I wouldn't stress about getting straight A's. I would just stress about like actually learning the material, and like learning to problem solve through that. And so like I said, there's plenty of classes where I really struggled, but I feel like the problem solving aspect has really helped me, because you're going to have to learn brand new things and like do completely different things that you've ever done before, and you just have to, and this is going to be throughout your whole career, not even just when you get started. And so like being able to struggle but like learn how to get past that is like one of the most important things. So like, yes, try to get as good as a grade as you can, but don't let that be your end all be all.
Yeah. And also, if you're just like so focused on like, getting a good grade and stuff versus like trying to actually understand like what you're being taught or what you're working on, like you're going to be missing out, because when you go to these interviews, like these tech interviews, or just you know doing like, a good job like at your first job, like it's really that problem solving skill that you said, because you could go to a job and maybe they're using like a totally different tech stack than what you learned in college. But you're still gonna need to know, like, that's why they hired you, you know what I mean? So you're going to have to learn new things, like what you said, and learn how to problem solve, like learn how to figure things out, even if it is asking for help, or just like, like researching things and stuff like that, because that's part of being a developer. Like you have to adapt, and you have to be agile. And that's something maybe in college, just because you're so focused on, I need to pass, I just need to pass. You do need to pass. So I'm not saying don't pass. You need to pass because you need to get your degree, but focus on actually understanding and like learning the material. So if that's you like forming study groups, or just taking that extra time, or going to that professor's office hours, I feel like that's worth it than just like yes, I memorize these things just to get an A. So what about like the social aspect of things, like working in like your first like corporate internship? Is there anything different, like college social life versus like the 9 to 5 social life?
Well, just depending on like how your like job is set up. Like in college, you go to class with people and you're like kind of interacting with them a lot because you're sitting next to them. But like in the corporate life, like you're at your own desk, or maybe you're remote, so you're at home, you're not with other people, so you can't like instantly like maybe go and like reach out, like, oh hey, like, do you want to help me with this real quick? Like, you actually have to like reach out, like ping them and be like, hey, you got a second? So, but like the pair programming that we did in class, I actually really enjoy that, because that is a lot of what I do in my current internship. It's like,
you do a lot of
pair programming. Nice. So that could be just because I'm an intern, I'm learning lots of new things. But I know my mentor also mentioned that she does a lot of pair programming with her other team members. So it's like if you do well with pair programming in your classes, good, because you most likely will continue to be doing that, and it's just helpful for you because you learn how other people do things, and then you're able to give like some of your insight to them. So yeah, I would say just pair programming is good. They continue to do it later on as well.
Yeah, I feel like whenever, like for the CodeSync app that we have, like whenever like if you had like a question or you were stuck on something and we would like try to figure it out together, sometimes I feel like that also helps too, just like working through a problem with somebody else, so that like two heads can be better than one sometimes. Just like figure something out maybe faster as well, and then like you both learn new things, know. I just remember sometimes like during some of our sessions where we're just like trying to like figure out something with like those tools that we use, which is a learning curve. Like just be kind of just like, I would learn something new as well.
Yeah, and that's true because like for some of the other like college interns that are like working with me as well, like they're on a separate team, so they're working on a separate project. But sometimes we'll like meet up and just walk through like the bug we're trying to fix. So like, okay, so this is what it's supposed to do. This is what I'm trying to do. But it's not working. Like, you guys got any insight? And it's like they have no idea like what I'm like referring to, but like they might know something I don't. They might see something that I'm not seeing, and they'll do the same for me. And we'll be like, well, have you tried this? And sometimes it works. Yeah. So yeah, no, like talk through your problems or bugs or whatever with other people, because it definitely helps.
Yeah, yeah. I remember like when I started out like my career as a software engineer, and it was at it was a pretty big company, like one of those Fortune 500, but I was in like a new grad, like kind of like a group, and I think there was about like 20 of us or so, maybe like a little bit less, and there was a lot of guys. But of the few girls that were there, like it was just like, I feel as though starting out your career and kind of being in that environment can help a little bit, where it's just like there's other people going through it like with you, and you're not as like alone. So if you like want to like meet up for lunch or just go we would do that sometimes. Like this little group I had, there was like 3 of us, or it was like about 3 of us. We would just like take a lap around the building and just chit chat, maybe like talk mess about like like, oh, this manager, or like, oh, this like project, or stuff like that. It makes it fun. You don't feel like as alone. Nowadays, like I work remote for another company, another software company, and I don't get that as much. But it is what it is, How has it like been like just socially for you?
No, I have a similar experience right now, because one of the other software engineers, she's also a Mexican girl. Oh, awesome. So it's super nice. It's almost like I'm working with my cousin. Oh yeah. So she actually only sits a few desks away from me, and so like we'll just like ping each other like, do you want to take a round real quick? And then we just like, we actually have lunch with each other every day, so we can like kind of just debrief, or we just don't talk about it, because then it's like we won't talk about work, because it's like the 30 minutes of our day where we can just like escape. Yes, exactly. And it's nice because like that's exactly that. Like they know, like if sometimes I'll have like lunch with my team members, but like I still feel like I'm like like making a good impression with them, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I can't relax right now. So when I get to like have lunch with her, or like someone like my age, it just feels a lot more relaxed.
Yeah, for sure. But do you prefer like cube farms or like an open concept in terms of just like a work environment?
Honestly, I feel like I have like a little cube, so and it's right by the window. I really enjoy that. Oh, I actually like my cube because I'm like, I have like the little walls. Obviously, like you can still see over. Like it's
so is your cube like, people wouldn't be like, there's not like a lot of like heavy traffic or anything?
Not in my cube.
Oh, that's a pretty good cube.
Exactly. So for me specifically, I feel like I got lucky with my cube. There's not really much people walking around me. And so, like, therefore, like, not really many people, like, are right behind my shoulder. Exactly. Everything that I'm doing. Because if it was open concept, I'd be like, I don't know, I feel like I'd be stressed as to, like sometimes
you can see my computer. Yeah. You can see,
It's not that I'm not doing anything, like, that I'm doing something wrong. It's just, like, sometimes I'll, like, look up a basic question. Like, it's like, wait, how do you write, like, what's the syntax of this? And it's like, I don't know, I just don't want people behind me seeing that. So, yeah, I like my little cube.
Yeah. well, I work remotely now, but when I did have to go into somebody's office, I've had a lot of jobs. But I've been in both kind of like environments where it's like the cube farm or like the open concept. And I feel like for the cube farm, I did have a cube that was like a high foot traffic area. Hated it, hated it. So I had to like go scout in like other floors to see where some vacant cubes. And then I remember I had to like ask my manager to like she had to submit some kind of a form. I made up some reason as to why I need to get moved. Because if I just say it's like, oh, because I just feel like it's too many people around, like that's not a good enough excuse. You know what I mean? So I made up some other reason, and I got moved to a cube where it's just like I'm in my corner, don't bother me. You know what I mean? And my thing is, it's like not that you're doing anything like you're not supposed to on the computers, but it's just like I just like maybe if I'm just taking a little bit of a break and I'm just on my phone, I don't need y'all thinking like, oh, she's not working. Which they're probably not thinking that, but it's just internally I'm thinking like, oh, they probably think I'm slacking out. So I'd rather just like be in like my cube in my corner where y'all don't have to see me. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. But it can also be distracting. Like if someone's always walking by, like whenever someone walks by me, I always look up. So I'm like, well, who's it? Like, is someone coming to talk to me? Like, yeah. So I don't know.
If you're in a cube, or you're next to somebody's like cube where they're popular, people are always coming to there. Then I get distracted. I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so well, now I gotta listen to your conversations.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then I was in an environment where it was like like the startup open concept, and in theory it looks really nice. It's aesthetically pleasing, but it's very distracting. It's very distracting, and like you can see everything. So I just think about people that are like in meetings and stuff, unless like you go to like a conference room or something, but like that's just I don't know, it's very distracting, but aesthetically it looks nice. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
No, for sure. Yeah. Aesthetically it does look nice because one of my other interns, he took us to like his building and on his floor, and it's open concept for him. Really? And aesthetically it's like wow, like you can see like it's bright in here.
Exactly.
Like, everyone can see the window. But it's like no, if you're in a meeting, then even when I'm doing a meeting in my cubicle and I have like people around me, I already feel like am I distracting someone? So if I was like in a meeting in the open concept area, like, and then at least in my building, or on my floor, it's like the conference rooms are hard to book. They're always like booked already. Yeah. So I have to like go like to some other floor, sometimes another building, just to get a conference room. So like the open concept I feel like it just makes it harder. Like I agree. Then I have to like go fight for a meeting room when we could just each have our own cubicle.
That's so funny. So let me ask you this. So was it different for you, like now that like this is your first like corporate internship, where you're in a building for like 8 hours, the same building, unless like you go out for lunch or whatever, but you're in the same building versus like in college, like you may take classes throughout the day in different buildings, you can like walk around and stuff. Like was that like different for you? Or like
no, honestly that's like the biggest thing I struggle with right now. I think that would be like the hardest part of me transitioning from college to this, because you spend a lot of time sitting, at least in my like area. Like I just sit all day in the same spot. And it's like there is an intern floor where a lot of people go to, but there's no windows there, and you still have like different cubes, and so I'm like I don't want to leave my window, so I stay in my spot because I like it and it's not distracting, but then I don't really get up. And so I'm just sitting for hours, and then I like just look at my watch. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've only had like 2,000 steps since 2 p.m. So and I feel like it makes me more tired throughout the day. So
I agree.
I need the movement, but I'm not getting much of it right now.
Man, that 9 to 5 work for sure. But does it help that you're hybrid though? So it's maybe only a few times a week you have to be stuck in the building.
Yeah, and that's what's nice. It's like because then once I'm like when you work remote, it's like once you log off, you're done. You don't have to worry about the commute and all that.
That's true. That's true. But I feel like for me, working remote, sometimes it's hard to just log off.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll find myself like, oh, it's midnight. I should probably go to sleep. Versus when I was like low key though, no, because even when I did have to go into an office, like I feel like. And this was like earlier on in my career, I still felt like when I came home, like I would just continue, Child.
No, and I get that because my other intern and I, like, we also do the same thing. Like the other day we got off at work at 6 and we came in at like
6?
yeah,
Oh my
it's like,
gosh.
and we were in office that day, so it was
Yeah.
like there's no reason for that in the grand scheme of things.
Right,
So,
right. And I bet like the traffic is still
yeah,
yeah.
it sucks.
Dang, but you know, that's a transition,
Yeah.
right? So, how's it been just kind of like just navigating like just like corporate and like your team and stuff? Like, do you feel like, you know, you kind of had to like advocate for yourself, or, you know, do you find like a lot of support? Kind of like, what's that
Yeah.
like?
Like with my mentors, she gives me a lot of support, which is
Yeah.
really nice.
Mhm.
So always like find that one person that's like
Mhm.
gonna be there for you and support you. You know, they're not judging you, because that
Yeah.
really helps.
Yeah.
There are times though, like I feel like you have to advocate for what you want from that experience.
Yep.
Like from my internship, I want to make the most out of it. Especially like I would be interested in getting like a return offer, and so like
Yeah.
making sure that I get the right amount of feedback. So
Mhm.
sometimes like I'll get vague feedback from my manager, and I
Yeah.
really try to tell him like, so like what other things, what could I
Right.
improve on? And
Yeah.
so you kind of have to push them a little bit more, and it can be difficult like to do that. It takes kind of a little bit of confidence to do that, because I don't want to like step on anyone's toes,
Yeah.
but I also want to know how I can be better, because like
Mhm.
that's how I'll grow. Like I don't want to just hear the good things. So
Exactly.
yeah, definitely like pressing on to ask more questions
Mhm.
definitely helps.
Yeah, I also feel like sometimes your experience at like a job, like the team that you're on or the manager that you have can definitely like make or break your experience,
Yeah.
you know? And so yeah, I definitely feel that. I also feel like with like yeah, just like advocating for yourself. I feel like you just like learn these skills as you like grow throughout your career. You know what I mean? You just learn like different like, you know, confidence skills, or like yeah, like self advocacy skills and communication skills, because you'll work with like all different types of people, you know, like that's one thing that I feel like is kind of similar from like college to like the real world, is like sometimes the kind of characters you may deal with in college, because people don't change. They can show up like, you know, they may just be like, you know, 20 years older than you, you know what I mean? So I feel like that sometimes is like, you know, you just learn how to deal with different people and different personalities,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah. It's something that I actually also had to learn, not the hard way. Nothing has happened like negatively yet from it, but that I noticed after. Like I had a meeting once with someone where they were trying to learn what I was working on.
Yeah.
And they were someone who's already been working like on the team for a while.
Mhm.
And immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, they already know like much more than I do.
Yeah.
And so as I was like explaining what I was doing, like because I was teaching them what, like, because they were going to work on the project afterwards, like
Mhm.
I was like in already like doubting myself. I would be like, I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense, or like if I didn't explain that route well, like just let me know. Like just immediately going back, like after everything I would say, I'd be like, oh, like just like they weren't doubting me, like they weren't saying anything to me, but I was like, oh, I feel like they are though, so I'm just gonna say it out loud, so like we get it out there. And it's like, why do that to yourself? Even if they were thinking that, it's like immediately you like you're projecting this insecurity.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's already difficult like to prove yourself as a woman and woman of color, so like why shoot yourself like that? You know, just stay level headed and just continue on, and they are here learning for you for a reason as well.
Yeah, because if we had that same amount of confidence that maybe some of them have, because they'll be so loud and wrong sometimes, but it's just that confidence, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like if we have that, then you know. But I feel like it takes time for sure, and that was something with me too, that I just put a lot of pressure on myself, like throughout my career, that like kind of what you were explaining, and it's just like nobody's putting this pressure on you, like chill out, you know what I mean? Like you're actually doing okay and stuff, like it's okay, you know what I mean? But I feel like I had to get to that point, and you know, it's still a journey. Exactly. It's still a journey, but I just feel like yeah, with time and just also like that support as well. I feel like with sometimes like, does your company have like ERGs, like employee resource groups?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, okay. I feel like sometimes like joining those, like it can be kind of another way to like find your space, like, you know, within a company, if you don't necessarily have like, you know, other people you can connect with and stuff directly on your team or your department. Maybe some of those like employee resource groups are available. Sometimes I'll go to their events. Most of the time it's virtual because like we're mostly remote. But when I did have to go into an office, like I would try to go to some of their events. Like they would do things for like maybe like Black History Month or like Hispanic Heritage Month, just like showing support, learning something new. I worked at a company because they have a lot of like offshore people, so they would do like Diwali like celebrations, like for because they had like a lot of Indian employees too. So it was just they're fun, So I appreciate when like companies like do stuff for their employees. They're diverse, like just to like showcase stuff like that. So yeah. So do you have like any advice on like navigating corporate, maybe like specific to like the tech industry for like other computer science students?
Yeah, I would say like the biggest thing is like I said earlier, just to make the most out of your internship, like out of your experience. So like go out of your way to talk to people, connect with others, and also like talk to people who are outside of like I'm in software engineering, but I try to talk to people outside of software engineering because then one, you learn something new from them, you get a different perspective, but also you might realize, wow, I actually am really interested in that. I talked to like one of the system administrators and I was like, oh my god, this is like actually so cool. Like if I wasn't software engineering, I'd want to do this. And I talked to then another woman who was like a cloud architect. I'm like, I didn't even know. Like I didn't even know about this, and like I learned a little bit more about like security and all that stuff. And I would have never known that interested me if I just stuck with only talking to software engineers. So like definitely connecting with others, and then that way like more people, and so like if you ever need support because you're maybe having a hard time adjusting through something, you can reach out to them.
Yeah, that's actually so true about like that's something also I feel like they don't really highlight in college of like, yes, you're getting the CS degree, but there's actually so much you can do, which is why I always try to talk about that within our Girls Dream Code programs, that like, there's something for everybody in tech. You just gotta learn about it. And, especially if you're in corporate, like there's other people like, doing this, like, so you can like learn about their day to day or like how they actually got into that and stuff like that. Cause a lot of times, like once you're in a company, like it can be like a little bit, well, it depends. Let me not say it's easier, but at least once you're in to like kind of like network or just like see other roles are out there to just kind of like, learn maybe like what works for you and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm kind of like just in this software engineering realm. But that's just me. That's just me. But I've definitely like learned a lot about different roles because you do interact with a lot of different people. And then also just for like with Girls Dream Code, I try to just like keep up to date on just like different roles out there because I know that like, yeah, like being a software engineer isn't for everybody, but that's not the only thing that's in tech, You can be creative, you can, showcase your leadership skills, you can, work with data, or you can try to keep things secure, or, you can do so much. Exactly. You can do so much with it, and there's definitely room for everybody. So you kind of like is there any like thing that like interested you outside of software engineering that you learned about during your internship?
Yeah, for sure, like the system security. That really, like if I was not in software engineering, or maybe even just a couple years down the road, I would definitely like to get more into like security, especially like with the rise of AI, like keeping information secure, understanding like the the security implications when putting these information into these like large language models. So it's interesting to me.
Yeah, awesome. So is there anything that like you wish that they would just emphasize more in college before they just throw you out there?
I would say be yourself, like being personable and being able to socialize with people. I feel like sometimes like it's like there's a huge stereotype within CS majors of like, oh, they're like just in their room like coding all day, they don't talk to anyone. It's like don't be like that. Like actually go out, socialize with people, be personable, because honestly like that's probably one of like the main things that'll help you to get hired as well. Like I always try to think when I leave my internship, I would hope like people would think, okay, like I really enjoyed working with her. Like she was cool. I liked her energy, and that's like what I try to bring to the table wherever I work. And so I would say like being yourself and being able to socialize is like one of the most important things.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of like employers like look for that, like, are they like a good team fit? You know, outside of just like, okay, you know your stuff, but like, are you a good fit? You know what I mean? And if they feel like you're not, okay, keep it moving, you know what I mean? But I feel like that's like a good thing of just like, yeah, learn how to be like personable, or just like be yourself and just learn how to work with others, you know what I mean? Because it's okay to learn from other people, or just to, you know, collaborate, because that's a big part of just like tech, even if you're coding or not coding, like you're gonna have to interact with people, like, period. Like, so I think that's definitely like, they should like focus on that as well in some of these CS classes. Like, how about the, like, you know, people side of things, the communication side of things, like, yeah. So, all right, well, catch us on the next episode of Code Unlocked. Bye.